I kind of want to bring up something else, guys.
Go for it.
If you guys don't mind. So I don't know if you have been following the crap on X and in the theological sphere, but here's what's been kind of going on, and it all really started with the Tim Pool podcast. Essentially, you've got your Catholics and you got your Orthodox guys that are really starting to get bold online. And old habits die hard. And so what has happened is you have these debates on small things, and then it just gets goes nuclear. And so on Tim Pool's podcast, he's a culture war podcast, and he has Tim Pool IRL. But on his culture war podcast, he had Jay Dyer, who's an Orthodox guy.
There you
go. And this guy Tim, I can't remember his last name. He's a Catholic, and then this guy's a Protestant. And so they basically have this crazy debate where they're talking about Vatican II, and Vatican II starts kind of moving towards this universalist kind of mindset. So
a Catholic mindset, you might say.
Yeah, Catholic mindset. That's right. This universal. That's a good one. But if you guys would just indulge me, I have a clip. It's about 2 minutes that I want to take out of this podcast that Tim Pool did, and really it really identifies it, because here's the argument. The argument is Catholics believe, according to Vatican II, they believe that Christians and Muslims worship the same God, and Jay Dyer, the Orthodox guy, believes that it's not. But let me just watch
and
this
he's right.
Understand,
Spoiler alert.
This is not a good, but this is not a good look for Christianity in general. Okay, so Tim Pool's gonna read the portion
it's
of
not very Catholic
Vatican
of
II,
them,
and then it's gonna go back and forth. So just listen to this.
Okay, wait, hold on. I'm gonna read this.
Yeah, read it.
This is important. It says the church also has a high regard for the Muslims. They worship God, who is one, living and merciful and almighty.
What I said.
I'm not done.
Let him finish reading.
I'm not done.
And you think we're bad?
This. I was going to say.
So spoken to humanity, they endeavor to submit themselves without reserve to the hidden decrees of God, just as Abraham submitted himself to God's plan,
just like Abraham,
and whose faith Muslims eagerly link to their own. Although not acknowledging him as God, they venerate Jesus as a prophet. His virgin mother they also honor, and even at times devoutly invoke. Further, they await the day of judgment and the reward of God following the resurrection of the dead. For this reason, they highly esteem an upright life and worship God, especially by way of prayer, alms, deeds, and fasting. It does seem like they're saying, as far as I can tell, Muslims are worshiping the same God.
Yes.
Well, yes. This is a community college primer on intro to religions and nothing.
You mean how
Tell
you
me
couldn't get
Catholics.
quantifier shit fallacy?
It's in your Islam is literally one of the three monotheisms in Western religion. Is it triune? No. So
it's not the God of the Bible according to you. You said the Bible God is the Trinity.
No.
Yes, you did.
Well, of course. You don't think I think the Bible God is the Trinity?
Then the Muslims don't worship the same God because of the quantifier shift fallacy.
The Muslims don't worship the same God. It doesn't say the same God as us.
The book says they do. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
How many views does this have? People actually watch this garbage?
Yeah, 1.4 million, dude.
What's going on here? How are we having this?
That's what I tell people when they're like, "You guys talk over each other too much," and I'm just like, "Joke's on you. We're into that."
No, you said the same God as us. As us.
As
you and I.
Us.
No, it doesn't say us.
Oh, so it doesn't say us. Are you serious?
Dude, Muslims worship. How many gods do Muslims worship, Jay?
Doesn't say.
The Protestant on the board says, "This is why we left. This is why we left." Okay, so they talk over each other. They're arguing back and forth. The argument is whether Muslims worship the same God as Christians, and that the acknowledgement within the Catholics is, of course, they don't worship, they don't see God accurately, but because they worship the God of Abraham, it's the same God.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is there's some disagreements. Now, it depends on what you mean, by the same God. Just because they say, "Oh, I worship the God of Abraham," according to tradition, can we categorically say that's the same exact, or that's the same God?
No, but this is the same.
Vatican II.
This is the same nonsense. This is my one of my biggest beefs with Catholicism, is this whole notion that they'll say on the one hand that they will refuse communion, that they'll make such a stink about being the church, which they are not the final and, complete version of the body of Christ on earth. And then they'll turn around and say that no, we're just the privileged route to God, which is what's in line with what they're saying effectively, is like, because they hold these two ideas that are not compatible. On the one hand, they can look at Islam and say, to some effect, oh, well, they're worshiping God. Shakespeare arose by any other name, right? Like that's they're able to say that, but then also recognize, if they're pressed, they'll turn around and be like, well, of course it's not the same God, because they don't worship a Trinity. Like that's like one of the fundamental gateways into why their theology is jacked up, because both of those things can't be true at the same time, and yet they insist on trying to walk both sides of the street.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So the Mormons, and like the question that I have, they kind of do the same thing, and that, well, we have the same Abrahamic God, and so therefore we're also worshiping the same God. And they would say we acknowledge Jesus as God, so we're worshiping the same Jesus,
the same God.
The reality is it's not the same Jesus, and it's like at what point is it the same in name only? Because the Catholics would say that. And the arguments that they are making is that, look, the Catholics are saying that Muslims believe in the same God, they just got the details wrong, right? So in the same way that you might look at a street light and say, oh, it's a red light, and I might say, no, it's a green light, but we're still referring to the same street light, right? So
yes,
that's the argument there, but. Ultimately, I would say, okay, well, hold on. If we're going to make that equivocation, and that it's called a reference in the philosophical term, the reference that you're using, the purpose or the object, the meaning of what our intent is, why can't we take that a step back, right? So, like, for instance, Hinduism and Zoroastrianism and Aristotle's unmoved mover, they all believe in a
concept,
all-powerful creator. Right? So they don't believe in Abrahamic and everything, but they believe in an all-powerful creator. Well, Muslims, Jews, and Christians all believe in an all-powerful creator. Therefore, they all worship the same God. That's the philosophical jump that they're wanting to kind of move towards.
Yeah, and this
it just doesn't.
And this is why
follow. It's not a
right. And this is one of the great arguments for why sola scriptura matters, is because if we didn't need specific revelation, God wouldn't have given it to us.
That's true. The thing about this whole argument online, that you talk about sola scriptura, this is the most hilarious thing. As a Protestant, I'm sitting back eating popcorn, because the reality is the Orthodox guys have their patriarchs that are saying, oh, Mormons worship the same God, and then also saying, oh, wait, the Mormons aren't worshiping the same God. And then there's Catholics saying, oh, no, all Muslims believe in the same God. And it's like they can't hold the scripture and say, well, what does the source say?
The Bible says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me.
But the Pope says this.
For there is no other name given among heaven by which you may be saved.
I can go all day. That problem as the Protestants. I love that part of the clip. My favorite part of the clip was him saying, "This is why we left. This is why we left." You're arguing over semantics, and it's like, I don't want to have to be held to the standard to say, well, the infallible word of the church is X. So it's crazy. Anyway, so that's blowing up online right now. Everybody's going back and forth, and so we have the brand new, crusades, but it's like Christians
Schism
versus
3.
Orthodox.
Schism 3.0.
Yeah, Schism version 3. Dude, the next schism is going to be a battle that's fought online by keyboard warriors.
We've been carrying the water. We'll see where the dust settles.
If you leave a comment, you have guaranteed salvation and getting out of purgatory.
Hey, we understand that the vibes are good on the Orthodox side. We get it. The lore is strong on the Catholic side. But if you want the real thing, all right? If you want the untainted gospel, I know where you're going to land, because you're only going to find it in the Word. And when you want Christianity, or you want Christianity plus whatever else, nah. Right. Anyway, if you're Catholic, or Greek Orthodox, and you follow us, we are thankful you're here. Please continue. We'd love to know your thoughts as well. Like I said, we give credit where credit's due. I have a tremendous amount of love for Orthodoxy and many elements of Catholic tradition, which is really just church history, which is really our history too. Just want to point that out also.
Church history defined and interpreted through Catholic doctrine. Yeah, it's crazy. People will say, well, you study early church fathers, you're going to eventually land on the road of Catholicism. But I think that there's quite a bit that could be said there. So, but anyway I digress. Hey. But yeah, I think that's it's been an interesting take that things have been keeping me up at night and just reading through all the comments, and it's my trash reality show.
It's very edifying. Well, if you stuck with us this long, folks, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for spending some time. We just go through what we've been reading, thinking about, discussing for the. If you want to see more episodes like this, if you do, let us know. We're trying to get away from that. Like the problem is a lot of times, we have a brand, right? Like we like to talk about things that fall within the line of Christianity, current events, stuff that is in our wheelhouses. But unfortunately, you can't always bank on a news cycle delivering. So the question remains, what do we do with the time? Because we love getting together and talking and discussing and sharing that with you guys. So if you have ideas, if you want to see more of this, let us know.
In the world, not of the world. It's not like Christians don't have things to say when the news cycle's not popping off.
That's right. That's right. So until next time, this has been another episode of the I'm Telling God About This podcast.
Get off my lawn.
Kick gaslight.
Get off my lawn. You can't gaslight us. We know you want to talk about receipts. I got human history and Western civilization. What do you have? 20 years of dumpster fires, purple hair. People who don't know which bathroom to go into. Get off my lawn.